Hello, and another edition of Oxford News this week. Some of the things we will cover: balancing act on the investigation, and the NFL honoring one of our shooting victims. This and more on this edition of Oxford News this week. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Hughes. Terry's off this week, and this is Oxford News this week. This is the time of year to remember our loved ones who have gone before us, and also a time of year that our nation remembers the veterans with the wreath across America. America's observance last Saturday, the ceremony took place at Ridgelawn Memorial Cemetery, thanks to the members of the Oxford Boy Scout Troop 366 and in concert with the other local scouts and community members. More than 200 wreaths were placed in honoring the graves of our veterans. The ceremony was led by the members of the American Legion Post 108, with the convocations by Pastor Dave Gerber. Fundraising efforts by the Troops 366 exceeded this year's goal by securing enough sponsorships to cover more than 235 wreaths. Keep an eye out for the ceremony and its entirety right here on Oxford Community Television on our Community Access. Again, that part will be on that program. In school news, the district is balancing and making sure families are taken care of. Kids are getting counseling. Food is still being distributed due to the school closures, and it is trying to figure out how to safely reopen the schools while still grieving. Taking advice from other communities that have been through such a tragedy, according to the school board, President Tom Donnelly. Administration is fully cooperating with the ongoing investigation of the Oakland County and putting all of their resources into supporting the students, parents, and staff. Reopening the middle and elementary schools were successful, according to Donnelly, who visited Clear Lake at that opening. The parents of two students directly related to the Oxford High School mass shooting have filed a $100 million lawsuits, two $100 million lawsuits in federal court against the school system. The officials claiming the school violated their amendment to be free from danger, represented by noted attorney Jeffrey Feiger. The parents are suing on behalf of the 17-year-old Riley France, who was shot in the neck, and her 14-year-old sister, who was with Riley when the shooting took place. Superintendent Tim Throne stated that he intends to initiate a third-party investigation and review the safety practices and procedures in a letter. Meanwhile, schools were closed last week due to a threat directed at the middle school. Posted on a social media site, an investigation is underway, and the school did a full security check of every school building. Officials said the threats will be taken seriously and will be fully prosecuted. The Oxford High School music students create self-care packages earlier this week. More than 175 Oxford High School band and orchestra students spent some time at the Oxford Public Library assembling self-care packages to help see them through the holiday season. Students filled their bags with assorted musical themed items, including books, puzzles, coloring books, and colored pencils. Stress balls, games, building block sets, paint by number kits, and stickers, notebooks, socks, blankets, and Christmas ornaments. The students also spent time creating an Oxford-themed T-shirt and water bottles. The event was organized and conducted by the OHS Orchestra District Marissa Weller and the Oxford Wildcat Band Boosters. It all started with the Amazon wish list created by Weller. From there, the donations came pouring in. According to Weller, they received well over 650 packages, as well as $3,500 in monetary donations. Everybody wanted to pitch in and support. It came from local families, Oxford High School alumni, music programs, and actually other school districts. With that, that's going to be this edition of Oxford News this week. We will be back with more. We'll have, of course, Science in the News, of course, none other than Auto Talk with Dave Kenny, and I'll have some sports at the end. We'll be right back on Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. NSO Group, an Israeli tech firm, developed malware to hack iPhones by creating a computer within a computer capable of stealing sensitive data and setting undetected for months or even years, researchers at Google have revealed. The malware is part of NSO Group's Pegasus software tool, which it is thought to have sold to countries including Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, India, and the United Arab Emirates. The U.S. lawmakers have called for sanctions against the firm. Pegasus allows a user to read data from smartphones and spy via their microphones and cameras. The latest feature of the tool to emerge publicly, which has been called forced entry, is also one of the most powerful and concerning to date, according to security experts. The technical details were unraveled by members of the Project Zero security team at Google and with the help of the Citizen Lab in the University of Toronto in Canada, which investigates computer security and its impact on human rights. The attack is a zero-click vulnerability, which means that the target doesn't need to be tricked into clicking a link, putting even careful and technically savvy users at risk. A specially crafted iMessage is sent to the target's iPhone containing a fake GIF animation. Due to the way Apple's software handled these images, it was possible for NSO Group to create a malicious file posing as an image and exploit an old piece of software for encoding and decoding images. This software was originally designed to compress text-heavy PDFs and save memory space. It is only meant to have access to specific parts of the memory in a smartphone and to perform logical operations to compress the images. But NSO Group discovered a way to break out of that allocated piece of memory and use those logical operations, some 70,000 of them, to build a rudimentary virtual computer entirely separate to the operating system of the iPhone. It could then use that virtual computer to research, or that's to say to search, for specific pieces of data, manipulate it or transmit it back to whoever sanctioned the attack. Alan Woodward at the University of Surrey in the UK said the trick is extremely sophisticated and shows how strong and lucrative NSO Group's market must be. It's almost like a phone within a phone or an operating system within an operating system, he says. That's quite clever because it means it's slightly more difficult to detect. You're not looking for an individual process or signature. You can hide it. The researchers revealed their vulnerability to Apple, and it was fixed in September in the iOS 14.8 update. But Woodward warns that such an insidious attack, if carried out prior to that update, could theoretically persist and continue to spy on the user. Some users also fail to keep their iPhones updated with the latest operating system, which could leave them vulnerable. Apple didn't respond to a request for comment, but the company announced in November that it was launching a lawsuit against NSO Group to stop the company from hacking into its products. Facebook, Microsoft, Google, and LinkedIn had already launched legal action, and NSO Group didn't respond to a request for comment. How interesting. Well, that's it for Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and have a wonderful Christmas season.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Back with you on Oxford News this week, and this is Oxford Sports. Again, a lot of the sports, have been postponed due to the recent events over the past few weeks. However, others are trying to hopefully comfort Oxford. Oxford student Tate Marrow has been named this week's recipient of the NFL's Way to Play High School Award. The program is in its third year recognizing high school football players who demonstrate exceptional in-game playing techniques to make impactful plays. On behalf of Mayor, the Oxford football program will receive $5,000 in equipment grants through the USA Football and new uniforms, courtesy of Nike. Mayor 16 played tight end and running back for the team. He was one again of the 4 students that died in the school shooting on November 30th, along with Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, and of course, Justin Schilling. Quoting the NFL, "The senseless tragedy at the Oxford claimed many in which such great potential could be, according to Troy Vincent, NFL executive president of the football operations. Tate Myre exemplified that potential as an honorary student and football athlete. He gave all of himself and that others might live, and may his courage and determination eternally be part of the inspirations to the Oxford community. In addition to the award, Myre's family served as an honorary captain for the Big Ten Championship a few weeks back at the Michigan football game as they went on to advance themselves. Michigan State also put the recruiting class by Coach Mel Tucker, more than 270,000 people who have signed an online petition to actually change the name of Oxford Football Stadium to the Oxford Stadium to Myre Stadium. Again, that's others playing and helping honoring the Oxford victims and of course, with the tragedy. We'll be right back with more. I'll close it out on Oxford News This Week.
Welcome to Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. Michigan lawmakers are planning to help the Detroit Auto Show get back in business after what could be a 44-month hiatus for the event. A $795 million spending bill headed to passage in the legislature on December 14th, containing a $9 million one-time grant for Detroit's auto show. The Detroit Auto Dealers Association canceled the North American Auto Show in June of 2020 and September of this year because of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, after attempting to move the auto show in 2020 from January to early summer. Detroit hasn't hosted an auto show since January of 2019. DADA is planning to resurrect the show next September at Huntington Place, the new name for Detroit's Riverfront Convention Center. Organizers said they are targeting September 14th to 25th for the 2022 show, but those dates aren't final. This is just to help them get them up and running again, House Appropriations Committee Chairman Thomas Alpert told Automotive News. It's really, that is, important for the state of Michigan, he says. The auto show is Detroit's marquee annual event, attracting international media and auto executives from across the globe and generating an estimated $400 million in economic impact for the state in hospitality, travel, and construction sectors. In a statement, the DADA Executive Director Rod Alpert said, "We are pleased state leaders have recognized the hardships and difficulties the show has faced over the past couple of years, hardships directly related to COVID. While each previous show has funded the next show, a nearly 3-year void has led us to ask for direct support from the state of Michigan," he said. This one-time funding will help put the show back on strong financial footing and go forward, making a 2022 show the best one yet, showcasing all things Michigan has to offer on the automotive front. The sustained auto show hiatus has also hampered the financial stability of the Detroit Convention Center. In September of 2020, the legislature appropriated $36 million in additional state aid over 6 years for Detroit Regional Convention Facility Authority to make up for the losses sustained during the pandemic when the convention and events business ground to a halt. The $9 million for Detroit Auto Show was among $21.9 million in one-time grants baked into the appropriation bill, which contained over $325 million for the Department of Health and Human Services and over $176 million for the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. The $21.9 million in individual grants came from the state's general fund, not the $5.7 billion in unspent discretionary stimulus funds. After months of sitting on $300 million of COVID testing in schools that Congress sent Michigan for purposes of reopening schools this school year, Republicans in the majority party have agreed to appropriate half of those funds. That's a good thing. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and we'll be right back.
With that, that'll be another edition of Oxford News this week. Again, I hope you can join us next week. Cherry Stiles should be back in place. Again, for Dan Zeiss in the back, he's our producer and director. I'm Jim Hughes, and again, I urge you to stay tuned as we bring you another edition of Oxford News this week.